who here would date someone who's pro-life?
I mean, honestly, I probably.
I don't. It's
that's a hard stop.
Yeah, like
of course it's a good.
That's a hard stop.
You wouldn't date a guy if that guy said, "I don't want to kill your child."
No, I would date the guy.
I feel like there's
different than being pro-life.
Yeah,
it's just that.
That's very
What's the
different.
difference?
I think the problem for me is
You want a
that
show, Brian?
I own my body,
I'll give you a show.
and like
You don't own your
I
Well,
own
you have
my
to at
body
least
What makes you say you own your body?
because I have my body and I take care of it.
Well, you are part your body. You're part
Yes.
your body and you're part yourself, but you don't own that. You didn't.
So
you
who
didn't build
owns
it.
it?
So
Yeah, so
let me just interrupt you.
If you believe that God owns it, that it's your belief, but it's not mine.
But you
Mine
can't
it's
bring
true. It's
religion
just true
into.
whether
You
you believe it.
cannot bring
It's true in your universe,
religion
it might
into
not be true in
politics.
mine.
No, there's only one universe, and it happens to be true in that universe.
In my universe, it's not true. I have my own set of beliefs.
Well,
and
in
it's
your universe, you could pretend to be a bug with 17 arms. It
Wait,
doesn't make
but
it true.
Michael, you can't bring religion into politics.
Well, you have to bring religion.
No.
I'm
All politics
I
is
mean, you can
religious.
like take it into a factor,
Why?
but you cannot let it set politics. Because
No, it has to.
No,
it has
because
to. Why
there's
not?
so many different religions. It's just like you can't cater to one.
But
Being
you- but-
Catholic, you can't cater to just like
Catholicism.
Why not?
Catholicism. Because
Well,
you have
let me
people
just
in the
interrupt.
United
Well,
States who are not just
Hold on,
Catholic.
let me just interrupt really quick, and then
Yeah.
I'll let you respond. So, just one thing. This is a hot button political issue. Michael's conservative. I think you guys probably have a different stance on the button.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy to talk about it, but I want everyone to try to keep it. People have very strong opinions on this, so let's hopefully just keep it respectful. Let's have a debate. Let's engage in a hopefully a fruitful debate or not fruitful debate, but let's just keep it polite. And I think Michael is probably prepared to make pro-life arguments that are not based in religion.
Well, I think
Well,
everything's
he was
based
just
in religion.
making. He was just making.
I think ultimately everything's because if you're right now,
But what if I'm not religious person?
well, that's that's your problem.
It's not my problem. It's my life.
Well, it's your, but it's a problematic aspect. Of it.
Why it's a problematic
can I ask
aspect?
Well, because certain things are true and certain things are false. So, like for instance, if I said right now, "Hey, is it better to bake a pie for a widow or kick a little baby in the head?" Would you say one of those things is better than the other thing?
You can't compare that because you're taking things out of context.
No, but I'm just asking: is it?
Wait,
would you look at that situation and
wait,
say
what
you
is
got two
this?
choices here? You can either bake a pie for the widow down the street, or you can kick that little baby in the head. Would you say one of those things is better or worse than the other one?
Yeah,
Yes.
probably.
Yeah. So if you're going to make a claim that something is better or worse as a moral question, then you are now taking recourse to religion because that's a religious view.
So how is me making a claim about like having an abortion and pro-life? Obviously, I feel like if you're having an abortion, it's not a good thing. Like I don't think it's something that should be romanticized. I don't think it's like a good thing. I feel like it's sad that you even have to got to that point, but it should be there for women
Why?
if they need it.
If it's not a good thing, then why? No one needs it.
Because there's other things that are not a good thing. Birth control is not a good thing
I
either,
agree.
and
Yeah.
we have it, but
Well,
and
we
it's
shouldn't.
needed. Well, I mean,
Having sex before marriage is not a good thing for society, but we have it.
Right,
so
but
you're
we
going to
shouldn't.
ban it.
But you just shouldn't. Do
drugs
it.
are not a good thing, but we have it. It's good
Right.
for
You
the
also
economy.
shouldn't do that. You're making very
But
good arguments for things we shouldn't
I'm just
have.
saying there's so many things.
So I agree with your viewpoint, and I know you're very passionate about your viewpoint.
I'm very passionate
But
about everything.
I think we're going a wrong way about the whole conversation. Like
I agree.
because you're saying that's just wrong, but
Yeah.
we have to talk about how can we prevent that from happening in the first place. Like what happens to like a 14-year-old girl who gets raped, for example.
Oh,
like
yeah.
how would we prevent
It's
that? Like,
terrible.
I think we have to
How do you
talk
how do you
about-
prevent?
Well, how do we talk about people with like mental issues? Like we have to talk about just bettering. Like, are you doing something to better?
Yeah.
that?
Well, the way to prevent would be to get tougher on crime, and it would be to circumscribe certain sexual behaviors, right, and stop. I would say probably stop encouraging a hookup culture that makes it a little bit easier. So you can do all sorts of things like that. And then what do you do for like a young woman who's already pregnant? What do? You the crime has already happened. So if she gets an abortion, she doesn't get an abortion. It's not going to change
but,
the
like,
fact
for
that she was
example,
raped.
you can maybe like create a foundation that will help.
Oh,
some
yeah, there are
woman
plenty of
to
those.
like fund the baby.
Yeah,
right?
crisis pregnancy
Right.
centers. They're great organizations
but
all
are
over.
they accessible to people?
Yes, everywhere.
Well, that's good. I mean,
I don't
know
if it's
a hard
accessible
issue.
to like.
They totally are.
Okay,
Tell me where you are. I'll get you an organization.
So you gave me a look while I was over there. Is it what? What's up?
I was just wondering what you're doing.
Oh, I had to go to the bathroom and I got an ice pack.
For what?
Neck pain. Yeah. I got old
Getting
man over
older.
here. I've got arthritis or something. So you also looked at me, Kiko, and you wanted to. Why don't you and Michael have a little debate on this?
Well, Kiko and I
But-
agree.
Oh,
I think
On
we
what?
agree on pretty much everything.
No.
No? What do we disagree on?
I'm pro-choice through and through. I'll never change. I will
Uh-huh.
never waver.
Yeah.
Not a single thing I could be seen, said to me, anything. I'm not changing my opinion, so we might as well not even debate on it because it doesn't seem like he's changing his opinion either.
But I did change my opinion because I used to be.
So
in favor of
you're willing to
abortion.
change back your opinion?
Well, I'm.
Then
in,
you don't
in the
sound
face of
100%
no,
true
in the
to what you
face
believe.
of,
I am, so I know I'm not going to change
No,
it. So
I
we
just-
can then if you want to debate, if you think you
so
possibly
in the
change
face
back.
of in the face of compelling evidence, I could change any
Okay.
opinion.
one
And
thing
yeah.
really quick.
Me too, usually, but then some things you're just set in stone on, and this is one of those
Is
things
it maybe
that I'm
because
set,
you're
so.
afraid that you'll find compelling evidence that would convince you otherwise?
So one thing really
I
quick.
just know it's dumb to debate
Are you
things that you're
guys
not willing to change your
comfortable
opinion on.
having this conversation?
Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah.
You- oh, you guys are fine? Okay.
So beyond
Yeah.
comfortable.
'Cause-
Yeah.
Oh, beyond comfortable.
Yeah, let's have it. Ooh.
Oh.
So fun.
Okay, because some people don't like talking about this sort of stuff, but it's so long as you guys are fine having a little debate. I think, and the great thing about debate is that you can it can help you reaffirm your position, or perhaps challenge your position.
I mean, I'm always open to new things and I want to keep learning, but
Sure.
I'm just saying I agree with Kiko on being very strong on this one.
Yeah.
So then, what if we have a debate for the fun of it? How's that sound?
That's what I'm saying. Fun.
Okay,
Ooh, let's do it.
Fun.
go ahead.
Why is this the one issue that you wouldn't change your mind on?
Because I feel like the research is already done. We've already taken away the law, put it back. We've already seen the negatives and positives from it. So why are we repeating history? We've already done this multiple times now.
What law?
When we banned back in what was in 1960?
Roe v. Wade?
Yeah, Roe v. Wade.
Well, Roe v. Wade created a constitutional right to.
Yes,
So
but
that's
before
what
then,
opened
before.
up.
yes,
Yeah.
but before then,
Before
and
then,
then
it was illegal in
Yeah.
most places. Yeah.
yes, and then now we saw because the reason why that happened. Well, there's honestly multiple reasons why. Some of it does stem from as well.
You
but-
mean because most black babies in New York are aborted and not born? That would be racist, right?
No, I mean, because the issue was, the reason why we're getting back here is because the most people having, not the most people, the majority of the highest percentage of people having are African American women or minority women in general.
Right. The majority of black babies in New York City are being killed. The most dangerous place for a black person in New York City is in his mother's womb. That's very racist, I agree.
Isn't
And Planned Parenthood
hey,
targets
now,
the black
Can we
community.
not be calling them babies?
Yeah, they're
What should I call them?
They're
fetuses.
You
do
can't.
you know what the word fetus means?
Yeah. Embryo.
Well,
Is that
an
better?
embryo is another term, but the word fetus is a Latin word that means offspring. So it means baby.
Isn't like the I don't know. I think it's in Freakonomics that they wrote about the
Offspring
fact that
doesn't mean
Roe and
baby.
Wade decreased the crime rate in New York.
Yeah. This was an argument that was really compelling to me. I actually made this argument to a bioethicist she was very pro.
Bronte.
And not Bronte. I wouldn't
Okay.
say she was the top
okay.
bioethicist
Yeah,
I
yeah.
talked to. But I made this argument. I said, well, no, I'm really in favor of abortion because the Freakonomics book told me that it decreases the crime rate, if you these babies. And she said, cool, Michael, which of those arguments is not also an argument for killing young black men in the inner cities, age 18 to 25? And the problem is
They
there
have
isn't one.
life.
Well, the babies have life. Or
They
you call it
don't.
fetus. But no, they have life.
No.
Well,
They have life experiences. They have no. How are you a life if you have no
Consciousness.
memories? You have no conscious. How are you a living, breathing thing if you have no conscious?
Should you be able to kill somebody who's in a coma, who's unconscious?
Honestly, yeah. If I was a vegetable, why are we
What
having
if you're
people on
just gonna
ventilators who are vegetables for years?
No, what if-
Honestly, my true opinion, yes, they should be dead
Yeah,
too.
I
Even if
agree
you-
with
Pull the
that.
fucking plug.
Even if
Yeah.
you could come out of the coma at
What?
some point? Because people can be in a coma for years and then come out of the coma. But you
Yeah.
think just kill them anyway?
Okay, but
Honestly,
see,
if you're
gonna
gonna be on a ventilator
but
for
the thing
6
is, are you
to-
vegan?
yeah.
Are you
Pull the plug.
vegetarian? Do you really care that
no,
much about
I'm
life?
talking about human life.
So
So
wh-
do you-
how
are you
come
gonna be
just
a
'cause we
foster
have a higher
parent?
conscious, we're better than these things?
No, because man is the only rational animal. So man, unlike lower animals, we have a rational will.
So I'm saying, yeah, because we're
will
more
and
rational. We
intellect.
have a higher
So consciousness,
intel-
that's
yeah,
what
I just
makes
said.
it the difference.
No, but the rational soul is not merely the expression.
I
of
just feel
one's
like you shouldn't call it
conscious
pro-life
decisions.
because I don't really think you're pro-life. Maybe you're pro.
Even
like-
broccoli screams when you pull it from the ground.
Carrots.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah. No, I mean, ultimately the image, because you brought up religion, ultimately the reason is because man is made in the image and likeness of God, right? That's why
So
man is
once
a
again,
religion.
it's religion for you. That's your main
But
argument.
everything ultimately is religious because that's the fundamental.
What if I'm not
of
religious?
being.
I don't believe in
I'm-
that.
Well, everybody's religious in some way.
No.
Because
No.
well, you just admitted that you believe some things are better than other things.
How
so,
does that
How
have to
does
do
that
with
make
religion?
well, so
religion?
that's a moral.
That's a
view.
moral high ground.
So
yeah, but it
where
has
where
nothing to
does
do
your
with
morality derive from?
the universe?
I don't need
spirituality.
a religion to
Well,
tell me what's good or bad.
is it the-
It's common sense most of the time what's good or bad,
Where
not
does your
from
common-
God telling me.
Yep.
Where does that common sense come
Like
from?
you weren't just you didn't one. I feel like from the time I was able to have any belief, I didn't need somebody to tell me it's wrong for me to kill somebody. I didn't need somebody to tell me it's wrong if I steal this from somebody. And I was the only child too, so I didn't need to be taught that. That's just something that my brain was like. It's like a common sense thing.
Right, that's called your moral conscience, and because
And I
you have
didn't
rational,
need God to do that. It was just me
Well, you're
being a human.
God gave you your moral conscience and created the moral
Have you
That's
law.
what
met
you
God?
think.
Like,
That's
I
what
don't
you
know
think.
where
But
you
furthermore,
get all this
you
stuff
do
from
have
God.
someone now telling you a view of right and wrong that
Me.
is different than the one that you have.
Me and
no, no,
me,
you,
and my
no,
brain.
but you,
My subconscious tells
but
me.
you also have me telling. But you also have me telling, and so you say.
But I don't
so-
listen to you. I listen to me.
But you might be listening to me. You're listening to me right now.
I'm listening to you speak, but I wouldn't listen to anything you do and put it in action.
But you might. You might. Is the problem?
My ears work, yes, but
right now,
am I taking it in?
You say abortion is fine, and I say
Yes.
abortion is bad.
Yes.
How do you know which one of us is right? How do
You
you know that
don't,
you're
because
right?
humans know nothing really. You
No,
don't
I
know
think I
when
know
li-
certain
Well, I
things.
know, but
Not a
really,
lot, but
I
a
mean,
little.
I think the argument where life begins is useless because I don't think based on that you're not going to change someone else's mind because everybody has strong beliefs. I think
Well,
it's
that's a great point because it doesn't matter when life begins so much as what life means.
Yeah, so it means so many different things to people. So I just think it's useless to argue over that. I think it's better to argue what we can do in this situation.
Because we all agree when life begins.
I mean,
by
I-
definition, it's at conception.
No, we
So-
don't. So
Hold on. Hold on just a sec.
Abortion is such a silly issue. Women's issue is with nature/God.
Oh.
The idea they can escape consequences and not control every element of sex is the issue. Ironically, women side with the eugenicists that created these schemes and hate them and want them gone.
Dig Bic Energy. Thank you for the 200
Very true.
TTS. Thank you there. Interesting name you have there. Thank you, man. Go ahead, Kiko. You wanted to.
Well, because I agree with a lot what you're saying, but we said we're debating for fun, so that's the reason why I'm doing it, because I know whatever. You said, how do I know I'm right? Well, I mean, this is also objective too, but like for me, like I know I'm right because like every state with the most educated people here like are still, pro-choice. And like the states with like, not that many educated people usually are the ones that are pro-life.
But I'm
So,
relatively educated, right?
I'm not saying you're not.
But I'm
Is
pro-life.
New York pro-choice? Is New York?
New York is
Well, now I live in Tennessee.
Yeah, it's okay.
Tennessee.
Oh.
Which is very pro-life.
No, that makes sense.
Do I have to?
Yeah.
No, if you're saying educated
I mean, I just feel like
people are not
if you
pro-life,
grab
I'm
somebody from
relatively
Tennessee
educated.
versus if you grab people from California and you find the most overall, I feel like the
majority.
The majority is going to probably be from California and not from
I mean, Michael's boosting up the average, I think.
because it's so small, right? He
No,
has one
I
Yale. You throw one Yale into Tennessee, you're
No,
like
but
an outlier.
I also don't have a ton of respect for people who have all these credentials. I mean, my fellow Yaleys believe all sorts of things that are insane. I mean, they don't know the difference between a man and a woman. So I'm not surprised that they can't tell what life is about.
But also, I feel like I'm just gonna set this from the start. You and Brian don't really get a say in this because
Why
you
not?
can't have kids.
Oh,
You
no
can't
uterus,
birth
no
No,
kids.
I have two
opinion?
kids.
No, did you birth them? Did they come out of your vagina?
No, no.
So
But I
that's what
I did
thought.
help to make them. And the other, even if I didn't have kids, the other reason I would have some say over this is because I have rational faculties and I can come to conclusions about things that don't involve me. For instance, if I were an oncologist, I wouldn't necessarily need to have cancer to know something about
You can
cancer
have
to
like
operate.
you can have a say, but you're not gonna have the final say. It's not your choice. It's not your body.
Why would it not be? I'm the head of my household.
Well, it's So you
I
control
think
your
the- I
wife's
think what-
body. You tell her when and what to do, every move to make. You tell like
Not every move to
What
make,
she's
but
trying-
I've quite a lot of say over it. Yeah.
Can I say?
Oh,
What
right,
she's trying to say is that why do we restrict women and tell them what to do if we have to restrict the men? Because they're the one who don't take the responsibility for what they have done.
No, men have to
You
take
just,
responsibility.
You don't
too.
know how many guys invited me over their house on the first date. It is disgusting to say every time and no, but it's happening, and I have to say no. But like we are not educating and saying to the man that they should behave properly. Why we are shaming women for the fact that they want to have a choice of what to do with their bodies when the guys and the man whose attraction they're trying to get, like the women are having sex with the guys because that's the only way, that's the only thing they can give guys right now. Maybe they don't see a value.
Doesn't that, you're so right about that, but doesn't that tell you that those guys are just dirtbags and you should go to
But there are so many of them, so what should I do then?
Find a better guy.
Where?
Do you
Do you know a
probably,
place?
I feel like that's
I-
not
I'll
the
look- I'll
like
think
the
up a
root
list of
problem
names.
of abortion. I feel like abortions are not good, they're bad, but I feel like they're needed in some scenarios. I don't think like pro-choice means all girls should be having sex like
and having abortion as birth
unprotected
control.
and just like
Yeah.
that should be plan B is having an abortion. But I feel like there are instances where like you don't realize that you're pregnant or just something goes wrong. I feel like it shouldn't be on like legal terms. It's way more
Yeah.
about the situation.
But you need a law. Either it's legal or it's illegal, right? You
but-
gotta
yeah,
decide.
but if it's legal, like that doesn't mean everyone's gonna get an abortion.
So
it's
why,
just that they have
why,
the right.
why do you think it's bad? Because I get the pro-abortion argument, which is the baby's not really a baby, it's not life, it's not human, forget about it. It's just
But
like getting your appendix
I
removed.
think it's bad because it's a sad thing to go through. Period.
Yeah, for
like
a-
it's
a girl.
Like,
Why is it sad though? I guess is
because
what I'm
it's
saying.
like you have to do something. Because I don't think people really are going in there and being like, I want to kill this fetus. Like it's not being
Right.
like no one's going to be like, I'm going to kill this. Yes, it's life. No one's to kill life. Point blank period. But for some people, it has to happen. I know this girl who's a friend of mine, and she didn't know she was pregnant, and she was on birth control, and she found out she was 5 months pregnant, and she was like, I cannot have this kid. Like, there's no way. I'm in high school. This girl couldn't do
Why
it.
couldn't she just have the kid and give the kid up for adoption?
Would she?
That's
she
just
didn't want to
what
go
changes
through
your
like,
whole
yeah.
life.
Yeah,
You're-
you say that like it's the easiest
Easiest
thing
thing
in the
ever,
world
like-
to just
Well, you're
carry
talking about
it.
abortion like it's the easiest
It's
thing.
not. It's not.
Yeah, they're-
but
yeah,
your
they're both
life
from-
changes so much more after that
You
fact.
know you have a kid out there
imagine
that's
being
like your
15,
Guys,
kid.
one
now
at a
you're-
time. One
But
at a time, please.
Otherwise, you have a kid in the ground because you killed the kid.
No,
Wouldn't
they're
you
not
rather
going to be in
have
the
a kid out
ground
there
because they're
world?
not big enough
No.
to be buried. They're not going to. They,
Well, no,
they would be disintegrated within. They would decompose
it
within
depends on
hours.
I think
Honestly,
at 5 months, the baby's pretty
So
large.
are you pro-life
Where
at
at
a
5
certain
months?
point, or
What is
just
5
from
That's
months?
just what
Well,
you mentioned.
from
Sorry.
what-
That was just
No,
like
are
an
you-
experience
sorry,
from a girl that we knew
pro-life,
in
like,
high
Guys,
school.
pro-conception?
hold on. One
Or
microphone
Yeah.
at a time. Well,
Yeah.
I'll get you after Tatum.
I was just wondering if it's like after 3 months or after.
No, from the
inception.
beginning. I don't think I don't think it makes sense to just pick an arbitrary date and say, okay,
It's
6 months
that's
is
why it's
Yeah.
arbitrary though, because it's supposed to be by each case by case, because we can't tell when every embryo is going to be viable outside
No,
of
but I'm
the
not
womb.
saying viable. I'm saying from the beginning.
That's what,
Then
that's not.
what about,
that's
like-
what you think. But what we're saying is why it's case by case is because we don't want to say, oh, we're gonna ban after 20 weeks. You can't. When some babies might be viable at 18
But I don't
weeks.
care when it's
so that's.
viable.
Can I finish my statement?
I'm just saying,
So,
you're
Go
creating
ahead.
a standard that I don't think
Kiko,
matters.
you go, then Michael, then Tatum.
I forgot it. I threw the bathroom though.
Okay.
Someone was writing a message.
We'll get to it later. Michael, did you have a response?
Yes, well,
or-
just in response to that point, because Kiko was focusing on, well, at what point is the baby viable to live outside the mother's womb? But that isn't the question that matters. The question that matters is, when is this thing a human? When is this thing alive? And the only answer to that question, just by definition, is at the moment of conception, because conception just means the beginning of life.
I agree with you. What it's just sad scenarios, like if a kid is born to like drug addicted parents.
Well, they could give the baby up for adoption.
Yeah, but
Do you really think they're
sometimes
going to make
they
that
don't-
smart choice if they're
I mean,
drug addicted parents?
Yeah, I don't think there's like enough structure to.
Well, if there's-
So you're saying any
facilitate
life is better than the bad life?
Yeah, I'm saying life is better than being
I mean,
killed.
I agree
Yeah.
with you.
All
I guess-
life is better than being killed.
I guess another argument is like, what if a girl is young enough, right, and she's so desperate that she's gonna go somewhere else or do it herself or something. Like
Well,
that.
you know,
How
it's
do you
interesting
prevent that?
What
because
if-
you're saying that illegal would be more dangerous,
Yeah,
but
I guess
but they're
that's
not
my
actually.
issue.
This is the weird thing. In the year before Roe v. Wade was allowed abortion everywhere, do you know how many women died from illegal back alley abortions in America?
What if the
39.
Really?
And 24 women died from legal abortions.
So you're pro illegal abortion?
No, I'm anti all abortion. But when you look at the number of states where it was legal, legal abortions, illegal abortions were roughly the same.
But how would they
safety.
document that? Do you think like people that did it dangerously, like would it be recorded?
They would frequently have to. Well, it's women who die from
I
this.
feel
Yeah, they
like
would end up.
Hold on, let's have Tatum come in.
Oh no, I forgot.
Okay. If you remember it, let me know. Go ahead, Tim.
I feel like abortions are gonna happen either way. Like
Yeah.
she was saying,
like prostitution.
it's gonna happen either way, and I feel like it's better if we have a safe way for these women to get abortions instead of knowing it's gonna happen and just like putting a blind eye towards it. And
But if there's a law against it, there are going to be far fewer abortions.
I think
right?
the law should be
Not
more
necessarily.
complex.
No,
it's
I
just
wouldn't.
so black and white, and this issue is not black and white.
Yeah, I
you know?
100%
Well, if there
agree.
aren't going to be fewer abortions, if you make it illegal, then why not just make it illegal? If it's not going to matter.
Well, legal. I think, like for example, going to a doctor and like the doctor prescribes drugs so freely these days, like for men. It's kind of the same thing with the boy. I think if someone's gonna go get an abortion, it should be much more. Like the doctor should be part of the whole.
Yes, I
solution and
100%
really,
agree.
Like, try to deter the person and like or help in however
To
way.
deter it, yeah.
But I just like making it so black and white. It's just.
But it just seems to me you all have, I think all of you have, the moral intuition that it's wrong. Because especially because you're women and you just don't want to kill your children. But so you know that it's wrong. So then why not follow that to its logical conclusion and say we shouldn't do it?
Because I feel like if it's just illegal, right, then women will have less help with it.
Also, what she was saying is this whole situation is not so black and white. It's not just it's wrong. There's like other things that go way into it that you have to take into part that make a deciding factor on whether or not a woman wants an abortion. It's not just like, oh, I'm doing this thing that's wrong. It's like I'm doing this thing, but I could like there's other parts of it that's way more wrong too. So
What do you
let's say a
mean?
girl gets. Do you really think she wants to have that reminder of her having a child?
But she could give the child up for adoption.
But it's
But
not
that's
the child's
you keep
fault.
saying
I
that,
would
but
not
it's
wanna
like
go through
a birth-
pregnancy.
You're going through an entire pregnancy where your
Yeah.
whole body's changing. Your body's gonna be changed forever after
But
that.
what if you give birth to someone who's like the next? I don't know.
cares?
The
Look,
next
in the
victim. The next
likelihood of
right,
that.
Yeah, of course.
The next what?
Or even
Like
if not, even if
Leonardo
it's just a
da
regular
Vinci.
person.
What's the
I don't
likelihood
know.
of that
Okay,
when
what
they
about
go
the
to
next
foster
Hitler?
care and then they're like raised
no,
by
but-
that goes
terrible
both ways.
But
parents?
there are about 36 couples who want to adopt for every newborn baby put up for adoption in the U.S. So there would be no shortage of a couple to adopt the baby.
But I
how
know
come
it's
there's-
incredibly hard to
but
adopt in the U.S.
That's that's why, because there are so many couples
Well,
who
that's
want to
another
adopt
thing,
every
yeah,
newborn
it's very
baby.
hard, it's expensive.
Yeah,
So
Either way, it's changing that girl's life forever.
but it already
just is.
the girl's life's already changed.
Yeah,
She's
if
pregnant.
she gets
she's going through a
no,
trauma. She
it's
has an
not
abortion.
going to be as changed.
yeah, I feel like it would not be as changed as
But
detrimental.
you know
Really?
what? Like
when
I've
you see
Yeah.
the baby,
Why
it's
not?
different because when you see it, it becomes real. When you don't see it,
Yes.
it's not real.
It doesn't. Well,
But
when you
no,
don't see it, it doesn't seem real. Is
I've
what you're
known
saying.
people that had abortions and it
I mean-
affects them 10 years later in
Yeah.
life.
How would
Exactly.
you even know, as a man, if it's going to be a detrimental change to this woman's life? How would you even know?
Well, because
You don't know the
I have
experience of
children,
have-
and I
of
know women
carrying
who have,
a child.
I know plenty of women who've had babies, and I know plenty of women who've had abortions, and I have seen that.
I do
up
too.
close.
I know.
And
Yeah.
I know
And
that
you're telling me that the
if
abortions
my-
have not affected.
If my mom hadn't had the abortion she had, I wouldn't be here.
Your mother had abortions. Do you think that perhaps part of the reason you defend it is to justify your mother's
No.
Ooh, that's
No.
very
I was pro-choice before that.
before your mother had an
No,
abortion?
before she
I
knew.
found out.
Well, do you think though that you were obviously raised in an environment that's pro-abortion, so certainly your views are going to be colored.
No,
by the way
not
you brought it
necessarily.
up.
My dad's not pro-abortion.
My mom's not pro-abortion, and I'm so pro-abortion. There's like certain. I don't think.
Like we said, there's middle grounds on things
Yeah.
that we take.
But not this. This is not a middle ground. You're just saying I'm pro-abortion.
I think
Yeah.
a lot of it is
Pro-choice.
because people
Pro-access
don't
of
like,
abortion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the government telling them. I think a lot of it with women is that they don't like the fact that it's the government that's dictating it.
But the government dictates all these important.
I know, but I think
Moral
it's just
And I
don't like
people,
that they
people
dictate-
don't
You don't like that there are laws against burglary and like.
No, that they
Theft
don't
and
try to
murder.
dictate like my body and trying to tell me what to do with it.
Do you think there should be laws against heroin, like using heroin?
There-
That's a law against you using your body as you like.
So
But
I'm
people still do heroin.
Right, but far fewer people do.
But
than
that's
if it were to be
detrimental to your
legalized.
body. That's like a drug that's going to ruin you. having an abortion is going to save a
gonna
lot of
ruin your
women's
child.
lives.
No,
Save
it
a lot of
doesn't.
women's lives.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. There is no condition in which a woman needs an abortion. to
So
save her.
how does it ruin your child if that child has no consciousness, never existed, never started,
don't
know
anything,
that
never
it's conscious.
The child is
existed,
not
never had a
conscious, but he
name,
existed.
never had a
Memory.
Yeah, never had a
First
birthday,
birthday.
Doesn't even
anything.
know it's
Never
actually
even
being
cried.
killed.
Never even opened his eyes. Never even had, like, most of the time, never even had anything. Yeah, like how is that ruining someone's life that
Well,
never
because the child is deprived of the
existed?
chance to grow up.
I don't think we can talk
I don't
about
think
that
the
'cause we
child
don't know
cares
what
about
the
its life.
conscious-
It's
Literally doesn't know it's
deprivement
being
when it
killed.
never even. Yeah,
But
it never
a
has to have
person can be deprived of
consciousness.
something without being conscious of it, like in the case of someone in a coma.
So
You can
I'm
deprive
so
people
like right
of
now I'm being deprived of being a billionaire. So my life is.
No, because you're not entitled to be a billionaire. You don't have a right.
And
to be a billionaire.
you're not entitled really to life either.
You do. In fact, if you have any rights at all, you must necessarily.
Based
have
on
the right to
our
life
healthcare system and everything that's going on,
So-
technically you don't have entitlement to life because the simple things we need to live is so expensive that most people can't even
I think
afford
you
it
seem to
here.
be living
So how
just
is that an
fine.
entitlement to life?
We're all living just fine.
Well,
We're all
are
living
we
just
Are
fine.
we the whole
Yeah.
population?
You think we're all living
Yeah.
just fine?
Yeah, I think we're living.
Can
great.
I ask you
Yeah.
something? How do you define consciousness? Like, what is consciousness to you?
When you have,
Like, do we know what consciousness
I
is?
would say you're conscious.
Like, because some people believe that
See, 'cause
you know,
I don't use-
consciousness exists in the universe, right?
Yeah, that's a
what
hard one for me to
exists.
think. I don't really, because I don't,
Outside of
for my
yourself,
thing,
yeah.
I don't say, oh, it's wrong once they're conscious. My whole thing is once they're viable on their own. And I'm not talking
Well,
about,
why?
because if they are a parasite at that point. I'm not saying like they are viable in the point like they have to be born and like can just walk and be on their own. But if they are born and can't be on a ventilator or something and a machine can't even keep them alive, yeah, they are just a parasite at that point.
No, I mean,
They are a creature living in our body. If it had a
need a
different name, we
host.
would have killed it and gotten rid of it.
But
Just
the-
like if it was a pregnancy that was killing our body, we would get rid of it because right now it's a parasite that's hurting the body.
The difference between a parasite, though, and what you're describing is that what you're describing is your child. So
Is-
it's human. It's not a parasite. It's a human being.
Is it really though at that point?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't.
It's got-
that's where we
it's
disagree.
got- It's got no. Well, it's not just a matter of disagreement. It's
I
got
have a
unique human
question
DNA, and
for
and
you.
it's-
Are you
It doesn't though. If it had
do
DNA,
you
we
like
can't
to-
test it.
do you like
Go
the
ahead.
death? Like, are you pro death penalty?
Yes, I'm very pro death
So
penalty.
how are you saying that everyone has a right to live if you're pro death penalty?
Well, because the civil authority has the
But
right to
how
exact
you're
justice.
doing the? I wrote a whole topic in debate class because if you're religious, right?
Yeah.
So how are you pro death penalty if you are not God?
Because whosoever sheds the blood of man, by man shall his blood be shed.
Yeah, but-
because man is made in the image and likeness of God.
But
So
who is to decide when to take that soul
The civil
away?
authority, which does not bear the sword in vain.
But who is to decide who that civil authority is?
Well, there are different forms of civil authority. There's monarchy, oligarchy, and democracy, and different
it's not
societies
God.
at different times. Well, no, God does, in his foreordaining providence, permit the
But-
civil authority and entrusts the enactment of justice
See, the
to
thing
that
is,
civil
once
authority.
you
But
go
you
to
said that
religion,
my
I feel
body
like
belongs to the
there's
God.
argument.
You were
There's
saying
no
that.
argument.
Your body belongs to God, as does your soul.
I feel like once
But
you
then
bring
when
religion
death
into it,
penalty-
I feel like there's really no argument because
Well, here's why. I mean, I'll just do it like really quickly as to why religion has to come into it. Is because all of our political ideas rest on, as we have discussed, ideas of applied morality, right? What's good and what's bad. And morality rests on a basis of epistemology, which is how we can know anything at all. And epistemology rests on a basis of anthropology, which is the question of what is human nature? What is a human even to know anything? And anthropology rests on a basis of ontology, which is what does it mean to be? And then ontology rests on a basis of theology, which is what is the fundament of reality, the
But
force
okay,
that
so you're
sustains all
saying
life
it
and
all goes
created
back
you.
to religion, but I'm saying you can't go back to one religion because there's multiple
Well,
religions.
religion is a habit of justice that renders to God what he is due. That's
So,
what that means.
Yeah,
I
but
don't even understand what that
I
means.
think we're living a video game.
A video game.
It might be a decent metaphor. Yeah.
Simulation.
So I have a question for you, Michael. If you had to steelman the pro-choice side,
Yeah.
you're familiar with?
Yeah.
I assume you're familiar with the term steelman. What are some of the strongest arguments that you hear from people who are pro-choice?
The strongest argument for abortion would be that there's no such thing as God, I guess. Because in order for abortion to be even remotely acceptable, there would we would just have to be stuff. We just have to be matter, right? There wouldn't be good or bad or right or wrong.
We are matter,
I think
according
we
to
are.
physics.
I do think
According
that
to
there's
physics,
no
but
good
then
or
according to
bad.
metaphysics, we're also a soul.
Yeah, but I believe in physics more than metaphysics.
Well, the two go together.
But
right?
then
the way
they can coexist together if you're saying they're different.
No, different things can. We're all different people, and yet we coexist together.
But then you're saying that we have I should not believe in God for me to not believe in pro-life.
No, I mean there are. I can make plenty of secular arguments for anything you want. It's just ultimately, ultimately it does come down to God, because everything comes down to God ultimately.
So what would be if we remove religion from it? What is the strongest argument you hear from someone who's pro-choice? Is it a bodily autonomy argument, or is that not particularly compelling?
I mean, I think they're all really pretty silly arguments. The strongest argument I could imagine is that we live in a materialist world. So all of the metaphysical things that we pretend to care about, or we think that we care about, our loves, our hopes, our dreams, our joys, our emotions, that's all just fake. It's all a trick played by chemicals firing off in our brains, and we're actually just bags of flesh, and we're eventually going to die and take a dirt nap and turn to worm food, and that's all that there is, just oblivion, which can be compelling in the
Sounds
modern
right.
world. Yeah, no, I mean, that's very often how we treat ourselves, though. Actually, the way that we behave, the way that you're all talking, you don't really believe that, because you're saying some things
Well,
are
you
good, some
don't
things are
want
bad,
to believe that, because you don't want to believe that, because you want
No,
to
I think a
believe
lot of
that
people do want to believe that, because
No.
they want to live without
I
consequences.
feel like if we all believed that, we would all live a very sad and mopey life of not really caring about anything. And I feel like people want to believe that, so they have reason and purpose and something for them to do with their life, and so that they're just not shitting on themselves all day long.
No, well, what you would do, if I didn't believe in God, which I didn't for a while, I would do what I did then, which is just be very hedonistic. I would party all the time. You disagree?
I don't believe in God, but I'm not hedonistic.
Why not?
Because I don't care. For me, the short-term pleasure doesn't have any any good in it. I pursue long-term pleasure. I pursue the long-term achievements, goals, ideas.
And I know a lot of people who are religious who do want short-term pleasure.
Well, yeah, that's called sin and temptation. That's true. But so you're interested in long-term goals.
Yeah.
But why? Because in the grand scheme of things, that's still short-term. But by the perspective of eternity, right? The scientists tell us the Earth is 14 billion years old.
My life. That's what long-term is for me.
But that's a blip. That's nothing.
I care as long as I can think, my consciousness is here. That's what I care about. I don't care what's going to be there after whatever, and what's been before me. What matters right now is what my conscious can take, and my conscious can only take what is happening right now, right here. It cannot take the yesterday anymore. It cannot take the future anymore. It can only take right now. And right now, I believe that I'm pursuing my life dreams that are not necessarily short-term pleasure. I'm not I don't know. I'm going for masters. Let's say it's not something very appealing. It's not that I'm gonna go to a party after the show, but it's still it has more value to me than something hedonistic, as you were saying.
That's good. I'm stumped, because it's good that you're doing that. I just don't think it makes sense that you're doing that if there's nothing higher. Well, because
Are you talking about purpose and purpose?
Yeah, I think you're just kind of
being happy. She
that's
wants to be happy
what
for
makes me
herself. There doesn't have to
happy.
be a greater being
but
you're
suppressing your own short-term happiness for long-term happiness,
I'm
which
not
I think is a good
suppressing
thing.
my short-term happiness.
You just said that you were.
No,
you said
I'm
you were giving up short-term pleasures for long-term.
For me, party is not fun. I don't derive fun in that. I derive
so
fun.
then you're not giving up short-term pleasures. You
No.
just have different pleasures.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Kiko, did you have a final thought on this? I have one more question for you, Michael, related to this, and then we'll move on to a different topic.
Oh, I mean, one thing he said was, if I even remember my full point, but you started saying the only argument against pro-life is there's no God or whatever. And I just think, yeah, maybe that's what, highly Catholic people think. But I feel like for most pro-choice people is we just put higher importance over the living woman, over the embryo inside that's not living. We put more importance over the present woman who's living, who has her life already established and what can change, and giving her the choice, because only that woman knows how that whatever is inside of her will affect her. So it's giving her that choice instead of forcing her to have something that has no establishment that nobody's going to miss except for maybe her. The only one who's going to feel the most pain is the person having the abortion.
Yeah.
Not the baby.
They cannot feel that. Even from a scientific point, they cannot feel. That's come on. We're not going to argue that.
Existential.
Yeah, we're not arguing that.
I mean, suffer an injustice. It depends. Also, physically, it would depend on when you had the abortion. But the reason that I don't find that very compelling is because I agree. You're right. That's what the modern kind of liberal pro-abortion people say. But it doesn't make sense even by the liberal premises, because the idea of modern liberalism is that you have certain rights, and we call these human rights, we call them natural rights, and so the basic ones that our country is sort of founded on is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But the problem with that is you're saying that you would prioritize the liberty, in a certain sense, of the mother over
and
the
that
life
pursuit
of
of happiness, because her happiness is going to be so
over the life of the fetus.
It's her life, it's her liberty, and it's her pursuit of happiness, because she's already an American. Technically, that thing is not even. We don't even know where that thing is going to be born. It could be born anywhere. That's life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Is an American thing. It could be born in any country, any place. We don't even know where this woman's going to go.
But
we don't even know if it's going to make it past childbirth.
You don't know. So, life's a mystery, isn't it? But the reason that's not compelling is because you're saying that these secondary rights, like liberty and pursuit of happiness, and I don't know, fajitas on Saturday, that these are all trump the fetus's, the baby's right to life. But that can't be the case, because those other rights rely upon the right to life. That the right to life is not one right among many, but it's the basic fundamental right without which none of the others can exist.
Tatum, you wanted to go. Go ahead. You had something.
I just feel like abortion should not be based off of like you're saying, it was like it's not liberal ideology and stuff that like.
Yeah, I'm not a liberal either, so I don't really care,
I just feel like it's more about experience, like the personal experience that you're going through. The context.
You can't do a hasty generalization and call it a sound argument.
But you don't make your moral decisions just based on how you're feeling in the morning. You don't think that would be a sound way of making moral decisions. You got to think it through.
Abortions are thought through.
Yeah, I feel
but yeah, so that's different than what you just said, though, which is it can't be just this rigid, ideological thinking. It's got to be more based on what you're feeling.
No, it can't be so black and white. There's way more put into it. It's not just a very good and bad thing. There's a lot.
I think the only black and white is we probably shouldn't talk about abortion and death penalty in the same sentence.
Why not? I don't see there any contradiction at all.
I agree with you. It's just that, I agree with you. Like, death penalty is just, people already, to be sentenced to that, people committed.
Well, apparently
really
everyone has the right to life.
But I still know, there was a case where it was wrongfully, someone was wrongfully accused.
Oh yeah,
so
it
it's
happens,
just I mean, so that's why I don't know.
But that doesn't mean we get rid of the criminal justice system.
No, I totally agree with you. It's just like a child is innocent, and then you talk about death penalty. Not you. I just
of course. Well, that's true if you sentence a guy to 50 years in prison. That's a shame too.
Bad case now that we talked about like an innocent child and then the death. Someone
well, people can get things wrong. Yeah, people.
I just bring up the death penalty because you're over here talking about how everyone has the right to life, but now you're dictating whether or not someone can have life.
No, I'm saying that the civil authority has the right and the responsibility to enact justice.
Not God anymore, apparently.
Yeah.
Well, the civil authority governs the affairs on earth. Yeah.
But then you're saying that God has and decides all of that. So why didn't the God decide that Vladimir Putin is not the best person on the planet? And
because it's a fallen world, and sin and death pervade the world because Adam ate it.
So how can I then trust somebody and trust that somebody will make a decision if that decision is inconclusive and different? How
to trust the civil authority?
Yeah, even a civil authority or a God. Like, how do you? If it's so, the only person I can have a trust in is only myself and my own moral, whatever that is.
No, you can't trust yourself. Have you made mistakes? Are you a perfect person? Not even close. You can't trust yourself.
So why do we trust you? Why do we trust the civil authority? Why do we trust them if we can't trust ourselves?
Well, because people, I'm not necessarily telling you to trust me, though I like to think that I've in some way.
So why do we trust the civil authority then?
Why? Because
exactly.
They're still people.
Because people practice varying degrees of virtue and vice, both of which are habits. And so the more you practice them, the easier they become, though it's a fallen world, so we all still make mistakes. And so what we want is to, in this country, elect leaders who are virtuous and who are wise and who are prudent and just like you.
But I just want to ask you.
I thought you were volunteering to be a leader.
Oh, no, but based on all your beliefs, I'm curious. So we're moving towards the future where artificial intelligence is going to be so prevalent.